somebody who was visiting Loyola University Chicago, and I obviously represent the younger generation. As a representative of the Loyola community, I have a few questions to ask Dr. Zamani regarding global issues. My first question is about the floods in Pakistan, Dr. Zamani, and what are your main concerns at this time?
Okay, so the process of rescue and relief has been almost passed. But the process of rehabilitation and reconstruction seems to be continued for the next 3 to 4 years. But at this point, my main concerns are these newly formed NGOs. Every day people are launching NGOs, and launching NGOs has become a business in vogue. And deliberately amplifying the fact that people don't trust the government, they are launching these NGOs, and people are having a great tendency of funding to these NGOs rather than the government. And you never know that these newly launched NGOs are whether tied up to the religious charity groups genuinely, or they are tied up to the militant groups. So needless to mention what could happen down the road if we are this naively contributing these humongous funds to those groups or NGOs that are really tied up to the militant groups. My second concern is about the younger generation, which is the main or the most vulnerable proportion of the victims of the flood. And these destabilizing agencies, these non-state workers, and these extremists can buy their needs and bodies at this time, and they can manipulate their minds, and they can use them against the existence of Pakistan. They can turn them into terrorists, because these are the younger adolescents, younger kids. So this is the most concerning point for me at this point, and that's why I want the media to work on it, and the people in small groups should run the workshops enhancing the intense hope in the future of Pakistan, and giving people awareness of such people who can distract them or attract them towards those
My next question is regarding the construction of the Islamic Center and Mosque near Ground Zero. Dr. Zamani, what is your perspective on that?
Guys, I would like to start with the statement of President Obama. In Washington, D.C., during his speech at White House, he said that the Muslims have a right to build a mosque near Ground Zero. And he further emphasized this statement during his trip to Florida. During his speech, he said that the Muslims have the same right to freedom of religion as everyone else in America. And moving this project now, after all this mess of burning Quran and stuff, it will inflame the radicals more than before. And this will strengthen the recruiters and the radicals. And this will endanger the lives of all of us, like American citizens and the troops and the embassies abroad.
Sorry, also, do you believe this is interrelated with the burning of the Quran?
Actually, there is no comparison between burning Quran with building a peace process, building a cultural center of a religion, or building a Islamic cultural center and mosque near Ground Zero, because it is a process of building peace among multi-faith partners. It's a process of moving forward, learning lessons from your history, learning lessons from your past. And I think that these radicals from the US and radicals from abroad, they are overriding the moderate practitioners of the religions.
Okay, and what is the deal with the drone attacks in Pakistan?
Well, according to it's a very painful issue bilaterally. even for the US, it's not like they are very happy in doing that. According to the US State Department legal advisor, Mr. Harold Coe, as he said, the United States is in the armed conflict with the terrorists, Al-Qaeda, and the associated forces. And they are in compliance with all the international law, including the law of war. And they have the authority according to the international law of war, and they have responsibility to protect their citizens in response to the 9/11 attack. And they have a right to use, according to the international humanitarian law and the law of war, to use force, including lethal weapons, including UAVs, which is unmanned aerial vehicles, like call it drones. So they justify it in that way, and what they have to do is to be very specific and keen, and always be very meticulous about following the principle of distinction of the appropriate target, and principle of proportionality. So they are trying to be more focused on the highly suspicious targets and have the minimal collateral damage. But the efficacy of their lethal practices and these procedures needs to be more transparent. However, they have said multiple times that they don't need to provide any legal procedure to these individuals, because the whole thing started with 9/11, and they are responding to 9/11 by protecting their nation. So, but of course, the collateral minimal damage is very precious to us, because it's about the innocent lives of Pakistanis, and we are raising this issue. Some people have also said that why can't Pakistan have this technology? But at this point, I think the United States thinks that it is a newly introduced technology, and there is an issue if they give it into the hands of the new starters, then it could be more dangerous. And secondly, there is an issue about Russia and China. That's my concern, that what if we have established this according to the international law of war and international humanitarian laws and human rights laws, that we can use lethal weapons or lethal procedures against someone if we are under attack or we were attacked. But what if China and Russia start doing the same? And then we have used it not only, Americans have used it not only in Pakistan, but also in Somalia and Yemen. So it's sort of established practice.
My next question is about the burning of the Quran on 9/11. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm proud of Ummat Muslima that have shown effective protest against Pastor Jones. And by the way, not a single dot in Quran has ever been changed.
Yeah, I heard a lot about that. Okay.
Right, yeah. And President Obama has made it very clear that America is not against Islam. The United States is fighting against those who have distorted Islam. So, first of all, I have to say that in the future, not one must dare to publicize any statement against any holy prophet or any holy Quran, because there is a very thin line between American religious freedom, religious practice, versus religious protection and religious abuse. So I think since we are entangled in many problems in the US nowadays, but someone has to speak up and pass a bill to make an addendum in the Constitution, in the greatest Constitution which talks about the religious freedom on this land. They should have also added, or they need to add, about the religious rights protection, because it was totally emotional abuse. I categorize it as a geriatric abuse and emotional abuse. And to talk about this topic is like really very emotional, and I'm just feeling it in my heart. But in the future, people who are passing such inflammatory and aggravating statements against such sensitive issues must know that they are threatening peace and security of the entire world. And this is not far from, you cannot make any difference between this threat or this threatening to the peace of the world versus threatening coming from the violence or extremists.
What exactly does that mean, the geriatric population? It sounds like a more medical term.
Oh yeah, geriatric signifies the elder people. So like geriatric medicine, the specialty of medicine when we take care of the elderly people. So you know how these elderly people are closely tied up to the religion in that age group. And I have seen people, for the last week I have seen several people came to me, like older people, elder people, they came to me crying and afraid of this threat, you know, that what would happen if he really does it, you know. So it was like a totally geriatric emotional abuse. And geriatric abuse is not allowed. It's legally, it's not allowed.
Dr. Zamani, your efforts and demonstrations at the grassroots level for Kashmiris, Palestinians, and Israelis is greatly supported, is greatly appreciated among my generation. And the way you addressed Governor Tim Kaine, who is, by the way,
chairman of the Democratic Party.
Chairman of the Democratic Party, is also very popular. So guys, next time is a full session with Dr. Zamani regarding this Kashmir issue, as well as the topic of the Pak-Afghan border. Until next time, take care.